Hello, hello.
Hi, Shaq. How are you?
Oh, hey you there. I can
Hi.
hear you. I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Perfect. Okay, we'll just wait for 2 more minutes, guys, for the others to join as well. And we'll
Okay.
start the
Before
session.
before everybody join, actually, I just wanted to pass a small information. Today, majorly, I wanted to know if for your the course is for V13, right? Version 13.
V13. Again, there's a few AI concepts included in V13 right now. I'm sorry, I forgot the name. Oh, there.
Uday.
So again, that is not included as of yet. So that is not included in any organization at the moment in Hyderabad. It might take a few more months, at least 1 or 2 more months,
Okay.
for V13 to be initiated. But again, frankly speaking, as mentioned, there's no course change in the course content, which when I've looked into it, except a few inclusive tools of AI. So there's
Okay.
AI should and or why. So these tools have been included, but again, those are not much helpful in my opinion. So again, since this AI is being a burst right now, they wanted to implement this latest version with a few AI implemented tools. So that is not yet implemented in the course curriculum right now. We have to change the entire course curriculum for that, and that would take at least 1 or 2 months to again transgress into that. So right now,
Okay.
still the current being taught version is version 12 itself, not version 13.
Okay. And how the practical sessions normally will happen here?
Again, the entire course is on a basis of 60-40 ratio. Again, when we have a class of 1 hour each, the first 20 minutes will discuss the theory aspect of the topic, and the remaining 40 minutes we discuss hands-on practicals related to that topic. So again,
Actually,
all the concepts are explained with real-time tools that are used in organizations that are asked in job descriptions. Tools such as Burp Suite, Metasploit Framework, your Nmap, your Nessus, your Wireshark, same exact tools which we work on in real-time organizations. The same exact tools are inclusive in the course, and we'll be working hands-on on all those tools.
you'll provide the tools and all. What is the see? I'll tell you the situation of mine is I wanted for a job change, and my job change is majorly basically that company is for cyber security. Okay,
Right.
so actually one round of interview has cleared, but the second round I somehow I'm not going because that is purely based on CH. Okay, so which
Okay.
I am not very much sure. So that is why I'm not going. And second part
Oh,
is once I clear up only, I'll able to join that company.
definitely
So
understand that.
I have the interview thing calls with me, but not able to go because of this thing. So I have to do it little more practically. So what is required in terms of hardware side or whatever I have to invest. You have to clearly tell me that is what my priority is. It's not like no,
Again,
I do the
that's
course and
again
forget. It's not
objective.
like that for me.
Totally understand your objective with that. And again, as mentioned, whatever topics you'll be learning throughout the course are completely hands-on implemented itself. So again, if I show you the course curriculum as well, 1 second.
Another thing, what is the hardware side like no required for me to do the complete practical? Is
Because
it
we'll be
anything?
working on this virtualization technology and we'll be running a lot of virtual machines in our environment. So for that, I would recommend you have at least 100 to 150 gigabytes of free storage and
Okay.
at least a 16 gigs device. Because again, 8 gigs will be for your base machine and the remaining 8 gigabytes for your.
I have 32 GB of RAM and 500 GB of storage. So
Then there's
that,
nothing to worry at all. And again, bare minimum processor is your i5 processor. So again,
for me,
i5
i7 is there, 13th generation i7.
much better.
So, and
So that would be the
do you
core.
have
Again,
do you require any dongles or anything to do the Wi-Fi sniffing packet
yes,
something like
only
that?
for that one Wi-Fi hacking class, you would require a dongle. But frankly speaking, as mentioned, in real time, you would only assess the security. So the company might be providing you those dongles. So I won't recommend the students to buy that because when they work for an organization, they usually go towards network penetration testing, web
Hey,
application.
actually, for me, like no, my company will may provide. Okay, I can ask for it. Whatever
Right,
my ask is, I can put it to them. So
right.
they may provide. So anything is there, maybe you can put it in like no, a small message or something. So I can ask them.
I
are you going to
will
start?
again. But other than that, again, as mentioned, the only hardware device other than your laptop that would require for the entire course is that one small dongle for the Wi-Fi hacking class. But again, that is also
And
not
for
mandated. Yeah.
Wi-Fi, I don't think there will be an issue because I work for a Wi-Fi company itself. So
Hmm.
the still product-based company. So we have multiple things. What is that exactly I want? Maybe that may be there because I'm the system admin for a company who's like, no, do the enterprise wireless protocol testing.
Okay. Right. No problem. Perfect.
So upfront, I can put a word to my company that this is what required, something
Sure.
like that. That is what
Sure.
I seriously I want a help from you because I knew that NagoorBabu and Durga sir. So somehow I thought of joining here and continuing this.
Okay. Sure. No problem. Good thing. So yeah, let's again. Any other questions before we
No.
get?
That's what technically majorly today what my expectation side was to course description to course like what is covered and all to little description. That is what my
We'll
mainly
we'll be covering that shortly now. So I'll explain what hacking is, what ethical hacking is, and what are
okay.
all the modules that will be covering throughout the course.
So
Hmm. Okay. I guess there's no one else gonna that would be joining the session today, guys. So without any further ado, let's get started. And before we do so, a quick formal introduction on my end. My name is Mohammed Shoaib. I will be your cybersecurity trainer for the rest of the duration of the course. And again, I've had an experience of around 5+ years in this domain of cybersecurity, where I've again done courses such as CEH, web application penetration testing, and I also have good knowledge on SOC analysis, security operations center analysis, with tools such as Splunk and IBM QRadar. Okay, and I also work currently as a part-time bug bounty hunter and a SOC analyst as well. Okay, and again, but my main expertise is web application pen testing. Okay, but before you get into that, the main important step, the first foundational step to get into cybersecurity is certified ethical hacking. Okay, and the latest version that is running right now is version 13, guys, which got released around like 2 or 3 weeks ago or so, not very recently. So again, we are still again transcending into that newer domain, into the newer version. So not all institutes have implemented that yet. There's a very rare institutes here and there in US which have shifted to V13. Okay, but most of the course curriculum that is followed is still the same from V12 itself, with only a few inclusion of AI tools here and there. Okay, and again, that can easily be replaced with your Chat GPT and Perplexity, etc. websites. Okay. So again, when you talk about the version 12 course for certified ethical hacking, this covers all the required modules to perform penetration testing on each and every endpoint. But I know there are some important confusing terms here. What is penetration testing? What are these endpoints? We'll talk about all that now. Okay. Now, before we dive into the advanced terminologies, let's start simple and small. What is hacking and what is ethical hacking? And are they one and the same? Okay. So to define hacking firstly, this is the procedure of trying to gain access to information systems. Now, these information systems could be anything. They could be as small as a mobile phone to as big as a web application server or a database. And a hacker tries to get remote access to these devices without the permission and without the knowledge of the person or the organization owning those systems. So if you own a phone and if I hack your phone, it means basically I can remotely control your phone. I can access the entire data on your phone. I can steal your data. I can sell your data to other people, or I can destroy your data from your device. And all of this is done without your knowledge and without your permission. Okay. So this is usually done by hackers for their own benefit, or sometimes they can even do it just for fun. Okay. Now, if hacking is such a malicious task, if it is such a criminal, illegal activity, why do we have a course called ethical hacking? And how is this getting ethical in the first place? So to define ethical hacking, on the other hand, this is the procedure of trying to find vulnerabilities. So this term called vulnerability is something that you will keep on coming across multiple times in the upcoming days. Okay. So it is one of the core fundamentals of cybersecurity. Okay. A vulnerability is a loophole. It's a flaw in the information systems security. And your job as an ethical hacker is to find those loopholes, find those flaws in the information systems with the consent and with the knowledge of the organization. So you work hand in hand with the organization, you abide by all the rules and policies that are set by the organization, and you find the loopholes. Why do you do that? So that you can report them back. Because these are the same loopholes that hackers take advantage of to attack your systems. So your job is to find those loopholes before the hackers take advantage of them and report it back to the organization so that they can patch it up. And once the organization has patched up the loopholes, there are no other possibilities of any further harm or cyber threats. Okay. So depending on these two definitions of hacking and ethical hacking, we can categorize the types of hackers as well. And there are three important or broad categories. There's white hat hacker, gray hat hacker, and black hat hacker. Your black hat hackers are people who perform hacking for their own benefit or just for fun without asking for consent. And they're also commonly known as cyber criminals. On the other end of the spectrum, we have white hat hackers. These are people who abide by the laws and policies of the company. They work for securing the company's infrastructure. And they're also commonly known as ethical hackers or penetration testers. Okay. Now, don't worry why they're called penetration testers. I'll explain that term in a bit. Okay. And then finally, you have a third mysterious category called gray hat hackers. These people have both the qualities of black hat as well as white hat. Now, how is that? Like a black hat hacker, they don't ask for permission first. But once they find a vulnerability, they report it back to the company, like a white hat hacker. So again, properties of both doing things anonymously or without seeking permission and reporting it just so that the company can be secured is where they are forming, I mean, they are using the properties of both categories, black and white. Okay. And hence, therefore, gray hat hackers. But again, why would anyone do anything for free? Okay. So when they report a vulnerability, they expect a bounty in return. A bounty is like a financial reward that they're expecting in return for reporting that vulnerability. Hence, they're also commonly known as bug bounty hunters, hunting for bugs in the source code or in the applications in return for a bounty. Now, no matter what category of a hacker you take, whether it be black hat hackers, gray hat hackers, or white hat hackers, they perform hacking or ethical hacking in a certain procedure. And that procedure is very commonly known as cyber kill chain. Some organizations also refer to it as hacking cycle. So hacking cycle or cyber kill chain is one and the same thing. Do not get confused with that. And to define it, it is a procedure that hackers follow in order to perform a successful cyber attack. And the same knowledge of this procedure also allows cybersecurity professionals, or again, your penetration testers or ethical hackers, to understand how these threats are being utilized, to figure out what these threats are, and how do you remediate them at every level of the organization to prevent these threats. Okay. So again, hacking and ethical hacking usually follows the same exact cycle, the same exact procedure, with minor changes here and there. So both all types of hackers are trying to find vulnerabilities itself, and the procedure for that is pretty similar. Okay, what you do with the vulnerability end in the end is what matters. Okay, so there are 5 important steps for your hacking cycle or cyber culture. First step is called as information gathering. Second step is scanning. Third step is gaining access. Fourth step is maintaining access. And the last step is reporting or clearing traces. If you clearly observe here, only in the last step, I've mentioned two different terminologies, reporting or clearing traces. Okay. So again, if you're a white hat hacker, you won't be reporting anything, obviously. You try, I mean, sorry, my bad. If you're a white hat hacker, you would be reporting the vulnerabilities back to the organization. But if you're a black hat hacker, you don't report anything back. You try to remove the evidences of your actions. That is clearing traces. Don't worry, I'm going to come back to these terminologies again in a much more elaborative manner. But these are the 5 steps around which our entire course curriculum is going to revolve around. Okay. So from our first class to the last class, most of our concepts are going to be limited to these 5 ethical hacking or cyber kill chain steps. Okay. Any questions or doubts up to this point? Anyone? Omkar, Uday, Vaibhav.
No.
Okay. Okay. Uday, any questions? Uday Shankar. Okay. Assuming no questions, guys. Moving forward, let's talk about each of these steps right now. Okay. So the first step, as mentioned, is your 1 second, guys. Much better. So the first step that we have is the information gathering step. Now, some organizations also refer to this as a reconnaissance or footprinting. So whenever you hear these terminologies, it always indicates the first step of a hacking cycle. And the main objective here is to gather as much information or data as possible about the target organization. And an important point to note here is all of this information is obtained passively. What I mean by passively is you do not contact the organization in any way. All the data that is required to be obtained is obtained from third-party sources, from the internet itself. But the main question that arises here is what kind of information are we trying to gather here? What kind of information are we or data are we trying to research? And this is the information as follows. So your job as an ethical hacker or an hacker is to find these pieces of information first, because these will allow you to find the possibilities of vulnerabilities or attacks that you can perform. So you need the IP addresses or the group of IPs called as network blocks, the whose records, the DNS records, the domain and the subdomains of the organization, operating system information, employee details, contact numbers of the employees, email addresses of the employees, and usernames and passwords of the employees if they have been leaked anywhere on the internet from data breaches. Now, believe it or not, all of this information is readily available on the internet. The only thing is you need to know what those websites are from where you can retrieve this information. Okay. If I show you a very simple example for this, I can go to my browser. And in my browser here, I can search for a website called DNS Dumpster, a very popular website in the cybersecurity domain. Click on the first link here. And these websites all commonly have an input field as such, where you can enter the domain name of your organization, your target domain. So if I enter my target domain as tesla.com or anything, and if I hit enter, this website now provides me the DNS records of the organization. So again, Tesla right now has 7 DNS servers with these IP addresses. And these IPs are very crucial for a hacker or an ethical hacker, because on these IPs itself, you perform the upcoming stages of attacks, scanning and gaining access. Okay. So the input for the upcoming phases is the output from information gathered. Okay. So whatever data you get as an output here is used as the input in the upcoming phases, guys. Okay. So these are the DNS records. These are the MX records, mail server records. Okay. And these are the domains and subdomains of Tesla. Okay. And again, these are the public IPs of the servers on which these websites are hosted. So your job as an ethical hacker or an hacker is basically to note down these IPs and perform scanning on them in the upcoming phases. Okay. So this is a simple example of what information gathering is, using publicly available resources on the internet to get information about your target organization. Now, while I get information about Tesla here, Tesla would have no clue that someone is getting their information, because this website is in no way linked with Tesla, right? So therefore, again, all the information that you obtain here is obtained from third-party sources available. Okay. Moving on, after information gathering is done, then we have the next phase, which is called as scanning. This is also commonly known as enumeration. And the main objective here is to get some extra data or extra information on the target by making active and aggressive connections. So earlier we got the data passively from third-party sources. Here we get the data actively. So whatever IPs, whatever email addresses, whatever domains, whatever subdomains you obtain in the earlier phases, you now make connections on those information to get some extra data. And that data can be categorized in 3 parts again. There's network scanning, port scanning, and vulnerability scanning. Network scanning is where you try to figure out what devices are active in the organization's network. So how many routers do they have? How many firewalls do they have? How many web servers do they have? How many FTP servers do they have? So trying to get a network topology of the internal organization is called network scanning. Once you know what devices are active on those devices, you perform port scanning to figure out what ports are open and what services are running on them. So what applications or what programs are they running on their systems? And then finally, you run vulnerability scanning to figure out if any of those applications, any of those services have a loophole or vulnerability to attack on. And during this phase, we'll be using 2 very important tools. One is called Nmap. Oh, sorry. One is called Nmap, which is which stands for Network Mapper. Again, this is basically used for network and port scanning. Been there since a very long time, but it's still used in the latest applications as well as a source code. Luckily, this is completely open source and anyone can use it for free. And the other tool is Enable Nessus. This is not a free application again. It's quite an expensive one, around $7,000 or something. That too only for 1 year subscription. But again, a very important tool to perform automated vulnerability scanning. So this tool scans each and every device available in your network, or which is also commonly known as an endpoint. And it scans and tells you what misconfigurations are available on it or what loopholes exist on that device to attack on. And once the loopholes are mentioned, then you perform attacks on the devices. And those attacks fall under gaining access. So once all the vulnerabilities are found in the earlier phases, next phase is nothing but to gain access to the entire system or the entire network or the applications on those organizations. Okay. And depending on what you're attacking, there are multiple modules over here. Okay, for each and every different type for device. Okay. So the system hacking, the first module where we learn how to crack or bypass any Windows operating system password. So whether it be Windows 7, Windows 8.1, Windows 10, Windows 11, doesn't matter what version it is, we learn how do you crack the password for any of these devices. And if you're unable to crack it, how do you bypass it? without even entering the password, how do you get data access to the internal data? So this is helpful for you in scenarios where there's a ransomware attack, where you're logged out of your own system or your password has been changed and you want to get access back to your data again. Okay. Then there's malware attacks. Malware stand for malicious softwares, and 90% of your cyber threats occur through malwares itself. And there's tons and tons of categories in them. There's viruses, worms, trojans, spyware, rootkit, whatnot. So we practically learn how to create these malwares, how to defend our system from these malwares, and how do you detect them if they're already installed on your system without your knowledge. Then comes network penetration testing, where we learn what are the common network-based attacks: sniffing attack, man-in-the-middle attack, denial of service attack, hacking Wi-Fi routers, cracking the password for Wi-Fi routers. All of this falls under network penetration testing, where we learn how do hackers capture your traffic in a local network, or how do they remotely shut down servers by overloading them with traffic, or how do they crack the Wi-Fi passwords, etc., etc. So all of this falls under network penetration testing. Okay. Social engineering is where hackers try to perform phishing attacks. So phishing is where they create exact replicas of original websites. So whether it be a banking page, whether it be a social media website, whether it be your organization's login page. So hackers try to create exact replicas of them, and they try to send those pages to victims to get their credentials. So we learn how does this occur and how do you distinguish between a genuine page and a fake page as well. What are the key factors to look at? Then comes web application and web server vulnerabilities. Okay, so finding misconfigurations in the web server on the backend, or finding vulnerabilities on the front end, such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, broken authentication, file upload vulnerability, etc., etc. Now, these might sound very gibberish to you. You might not, again, understand what these are, but don't worry. These are vulnerabilities in websites which allow hackers to get access to databases in the backend, or inject malicious scripts on the web page and perform unwanted actions like stealing cookies of other users and logging in with their cookies, or uploading malicious files to a web server and crashing the server or getting remote connection to the server. All this happens under web application pen testing. Then comes firewall security. So how do you check for misconfigurations on a firewall? How do you check for vulnerabilities on it? How do you bypass them if there are any vulnerabilities on them? It's all under evading techniques. Then there's vulnerability assessment or penetration testing, where we learn once a system has a vulnerability, how do you attack on the vulnerability and verify the vulnerability? So penetration testing is testing the security of an application or a device or any endpoint by attacking on it, by penetrating it through its security. That's called as pen testing. So in vulnerability assessment, we learn if a vulnerability report is generated by a tool like Nessus or anything, how do you check the vulnerability report? How do you assess the report? How do you verify it? By attacking on those vulnerabilities is called as VAPT, vulnerability assessment by penetration testing. And finally, we have hacking mobile phones, where we learn how do you attack an Android phone? How do you check for the security of any Android device? And how do you send malwares to Android devices and get remote connections to it? So all of this falls under the gaining access module. Now, I've not included all topics here. There's a few more which are excluded from here, but available in the course content documentation. And that will be shared to you by the institute itself. Okay. But here, the main idea I want you to get over here from this slide is we are trying to attack each and every endpoint. We talk about system security, network security, wireless security, firewall security, web application security, web server security, mobile phone security. Like every single endpoint that could possibly exist in an organization is covered here. Okay. And finally, we have two small modules left out: maintaining access and reporting or clearing traces, where we learn once I've gotten a remote connection to a system, how do I maintain that connection? So, for example, if I've hacked your phone, even if you restart your phone, I should still be connected to you. So, that is called as a persistent connection. So, how do hackers create this persistent connections, and how do they use your device to attack other devices? Is called as maintaining access. That in cybersecurity terminology is called pivoting. Pivoting is where we are using one device, one hacked device, and from that device we are attacking other devices or getting access to other devices in the network. So that is learned in maintaining access. And finally, there's reporting or clearing traces, where we learn how do ethical hackers generate a report for the organization, elaborating the loopholes. So we learn how to create that report in this step. Or as non-ethical hackers, black hat hackers, what are the key points to look out for? What logs are they erasing? What steps are they taking to hide their actions and stay anonymous, is what we learn in clearing traces. So the entire course runs in two simple tracks, which is also commonly known as red team hacking and blue team hacking, where we learn how attacks are performed first, and then how do you defend against those same attacks in real time. So again, that is the entire course curriculum, guys. But before we dive into all this, as mentioned, since not all of you might be from a technical background, we have included a few prerequisites as well. So we talk about networking fundamentals, what are IP addresses, what are DNS servers, what are DHCP servers, what are the different categories of IPs. We cover all that first. Then we talk about Linux commands, and we talk about how do you set up a virtual lab environment. So you need this, again, this course is very practically implemented. So you need to have a lab setup. So I'll practically show you how do you install your own lab where you have all the tools pre-installed in your system, and how do you utilize or run those tools. Okay. And as mentioned, in this course, we'll be working with a lot of tools, guys, in the upcoming days. Okay. So there are tools like Wireshark. There's tools like, again, Metasploit framework. There's tools like Nessus, Nmap, etc., etc. So we work on all those tools in the upcoming sessions. Okay. Wireshark is one of them. Nmap is one more, etc., etc. Okay. So yeah, this is a brief introduction on the course curriculum, guys. If you have any questions also, you can let me know. If not, we can exit the session here and connect back tomorrow, where we talk about the first topic, which is networking fundamentals. We talk about what IP addresses are, what are IPv4 addresses, what are IPv6 addresses, what are the categories of IPs, public IPs, private IPs, and what are some important networking protocols. We talk about all that in the next session. Okay. Exactly. Any questions, any doubts up to this point? It's going to start from tomorrow itself, Omkar, actually. So the first class starts from tomorrow, where we have the first class on networking. So tomorrow will be the first day for the batch. So again, these will still be acting as demos for you to understand how the classes are going, but these are actually the contents of the actual course itself from tomorrow. So tomorrow and day after tomorrow and until Friday, we have demos again, where we talk about networking fundamentals and all. And from next week, the link will change, which will only be for the registered students. What is the procedure of taking admission? Again, if you notice, there's a text message in the chat itself for Google Pay, for Phone Pay, and the contact numbers for the DurgaSoft Institute, Omkar. You can contact those numbers. Right. Can you explain the code? Yeah, that's what do then. Again, that's what we've been learning. We have been talking about the entire course, right? So our entire course is going to work on these 5 modules itself, where in each of these modules we learn important tools to perform various operations as a penetration tester. So the entire course is going to work on these 5 simple steps. As a hacker, how do you perform hacking? Or as an ethical hacker, how do you find vulnerabilities and report them before the hacker can cause any harm? And that is done in the same 5 steps by both the categories. So our entire course is going to work on these 5 steps itself. Okay. So for more content, you'll have to join the classes from tomorrow. Oh yes, I can share the course content document here itself in the chat box. 1 second. Let me drop the file here. Yes, I've dropped the course content documentation in the chat box, guys. If you have any questions, you can access the curriculum from there. No, Omkar, it starts from tomorrow itself, actually. As mentioned, the first networking class, these are prerequisites important for cybersecurity. So I would recommend you join from tomorrow. The classes start from tomorrow itself. The registered link starts from Monday. So again, the course will continue. So we'll be continuing this timings from Friday again. Again, but the link will change. It will only be available for registered students. Same timing, 7 o'clock itself. No change in the timing. Right. Okay. So yeah, that's that, guys. Nothing further for the session today. And again, if you have any questions also, I think DurgaSoft has placed their contact number in the chat box. Once you've registered, I'll be sharing my personal number as well for your queries. And yeah, that is the course content, guys. So we have covered today what's the course curriculum, what are the topics you'll be learning throughout the course. And from tomorrow, our first class for the batch begins, where we talk about networking fundamentals. Okay. Oh, hi Mahesh. Can you hear me? Yes, as we progress with the classes, you'll be getting all the materials as well there. Nothing to worry.
Sorry,
You'll be
I
getting...
was joined a bit late. Sorry about that.
No
I
worries,
missed
Mahesh.
the,
No worries.
I
Again,
had
all of these
the
are
first
demo
demo.
sessions. So these will be uploaded on YouTube as well. So in a while, you'll be getting this video on YouTube for the demo classes. But again, I just took a brief intro on what the course is about and what topics we'll be covering. Actual classes begin from tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the evening. So you can join the sessions too.
Sure, sure. Can I know how many, means if I register now, what is the lifetime of this course? Means like how many, what, 1 year or
Oh, you'll be having the access to the recordings for 1 year itself, Mahesh. So
one
again,
year?
yeah, 1 year. You'll be having access to all the materials or the content and the recordings for 1 year. Because usually the course syllabus changes after that, right? So live sessions are for 45 days, but and you'll have the access to the recordings for 1 year.
Okay. Oh. So, is there one-to-one interaction will be there? When if see presently I wasn't from Bangalore, okay. If I came to some like Hyderabad, can I come and practice there in the like
No,
in any
Mahesh,
school?
because again, I'm the trainer and I stay in a different location altogether. I'm in Visakhapatnam. So Durgasoft does not have currently the offline batches at Hyderabad. So again, only on live sessions, online session. But I'll be sharing my contact number, my personal number to students. So if you have any queries also, I'll be available at various times during the day to resolve your queries or questions.
Is there any 8 o'clock batch is running on? Because 7 o'clock may not join.
There's a batch running currently which is about to end, Mahesh. So again, in a few days they'll start an 8 p.m. batch as well.
At
Maybe
8 o'clock.
yeah, at 8 o'clock, maybe in 2 weeks or so. Because we're just starting the 7 p.m. batch right now. So after a few weeks, we'll start the 8 p.m. batch also.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Right. Right. All the recordings. How long will the live session? Yeah, we have classes from Monday to Friday every day, Omkar, for 35 to 45 days, as mentioned. And you'll be having these classes every day at 7 p.m., 1 hour each. And you will be getting the recordings as well. Yeah, 45 minutes to 1 hour actually. 45 minutes the class and 15 minutes last left out for doubts. So if any student has any questions also, I give them time in the end to ask those queries for the class. So a total of 1 hour.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No, not required with it. Not at all. So whatever content is required, I'll be sharing them to you for free. So the only thing you're paying are for the live sessions, nothing else. And again, as mentioned, the price of the course is 8,000 rupees, guys. Again, comparatively a lot lesser. I'm the same instructor for a lot of institutes here in Hyderabad and in Bangalore as well. So you can inquire. And again, I think they're charging a lot more higher compared to DurgaSoft. So DurgaSoft provides the courses at a very good rate for students who can again afford it in a much cheaper price compared to other competitors. So yeah, again, as mentioned, course syllabus, the course content is given to you in the chat box, and you'll be getting the material, the live recordings, and all of it on your email once you register. Okay, but please do join the sessions tomorrow. They are demos until Friday. Okay, and after Friday, the sessions link will change. You will get a registered link, a different link for only registered students. Okay. So do not miss out the classes, guys. We have the next session tomorrow on networking fundamentals at the same time. Okay. Bye-bye. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.
Bye, sir.
Bye, guys.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye. Take care, guys. See you tomorrow. Can you please